Robert Charles gave me the Zoom link, and he told me to come on. He wanted me to do something. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Well, let me give you an idea. If you work with Weber Charles, that means that you are part of PFS, and we are on that team as well. And basically, what's happening is I have a large number of students coming on to this meeting, and basically we have a couple of hours. The first hour, I will cover a chapter 7 with my student, and they will stick around for the second hour, during which you will be presenting, um, you know, what we do.
Okay.
All right. So he feels that you're a little more articulated than he is as far as expressing the products and stuff like that. And since my license hasn't come through yet, um, I'm not fully authorized to begin talking on the topic. However, I am a regional leader. Um, that left and now coming back and stuff like that. You know how that
Okay.
goes. All right.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to have you back. This is an amazing company. Me and my husband recently were promoted to regional vice president, so we're excited.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
yeah, I would love to help in any way I can.
That's awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Now, if you don't mind being patient a little bit, I'm gonna get started right away.
Not a
And
problem.
I don't know if you can see the number of participants that we have coming on to here.
Great. You can probably mute them as they come in.
Mm-hmm.
That probably would be helpful for you guys. So when you're teaching, no one interrupts, you know. So
Absolutely.
if
I will do that. I will do
so
that.
go to participants. If you go to participants, you'll be able to navigate through that at the bottom.
Got it. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. Um, and then we'll get to your hour. In the meantime, you can kind of get a feel of the crowd I'm working with. Okay.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Wonderful. Thank you again for being here. Okay. Try to mute everybody. Okay, guys, we're going to start, and I am in the process of muting everybody. Okay, we're gonna put everybody on quiet mode. Mwa met tout moun sou silence pou nou kapab avanse. If only I can find that quiet mode. Jesus. Oh, God. Can't find it yet. Come on. Oh, okay. Mute all. Okay. All right. Uh-oh. All right. Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. welcome to Boston Healthcare Institute again. Um, I'd like to say a special hello to a couple of special guests of ours. We have Mr. Weber Charles and Mrs. Palmer, and to all of our students. It's good to have you here. I know not everybody here is fluent in English. Et pas tout le monde qui là qui parle anglais a très bien. However, we're going to go very slow, so you guys can, and we're going to once again try to keep it basic. This is the book we're using, okay? Please, everyone, open your book to chapter 7 so we can get started, okay? Chapter 7, we are going to, for once, talk about for the first hour, we are going to cover chapter 7, and for the second hour, we're going to cover something much more interesting, and I'm sure you will love it. Okay, so open your book to chapter 7. All right, chapter 7. All right, page 175. On page 175, we are going to talk about basic nursing skills. Please, everyone, open your book to page 175. I want to see some cameras open. I want to see you guys. Okay? Open your camera so I can see that you have your book. Show me the books. Okay? Show me the books, please. Okay. Open your camera, guys. Open the camera and show me the books. All right. Very good. I like that. Good job, Jocelyn. Jeanne Josette, let me see your book. Okay, Celine, let me see your book. Good job, Malor Saint-Ange. Very good. Okay, more and more people are coming. That is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. Okay, great. So now that we have the books, open to page 175 so we can get started, okay? Okay, great. Basic nursing skills. Boston Healthcare Institute is a nursing assistant training program, and you guys are studying to become nursing assistant, right? So a nursing assistant is a mini nurse. I'm sorry. And by mini nurse, I mean you must have some nursing knowledge and some nursing skills. Okay? So, you learned earlier from chapter 6 that you need to know about ADL care, patient hygiene, patient grooming, giving your patient a bath, a shower, shaving your patient, combing, shampooing your patient hair. You learn a lot on that. Now, it's time to learn more stuff, okay? Basic nursing skills. Basically, we'll talk about additional responsibilities that you, the nursing assistant, has. What additional responsibilities that you have? Well, we're not just there as CNAs to clean up a patient. No, you are part of the care team. Okay, the nursing assistant is part of the care team, is part of the staff. That means that means you have certain things to do for the patient and for the place where you work. Okay, so let's talk about the patient for now. Okay, the nursing assistant plays a role in admission. What is admission? Admission is when the patient is coming in for the first time to the facility. Okay? Admission is the patient coming in for the first time to the facility. They may be coming from their house, from the hospital, from another nursing home, but they're coming in for the first time. We call that admission. Okay? So, so nobody wants to be in a nursing home. If you talk to a person and they say, and you say, would you like to end up in a nursing home someday? They would say no. And your patient feels the same way. But unfortunately, they are now in a nursing home. They're coming in. Part of our responsibility is to make the patient feel welcome. Okay? Is to change the idea for the patient that this is a bad place. We got to help the patient realize that this is a good place and we would like to help take good care of you. So on page 75, what are the guidelines? Remember, we said guidelines. Guidelines tells you how to do this or that, what to do. These are the guidelines. And remember what we said, right? On your state exam, the guidelines, the questions will come from the guidelines, okay? So let's take a quick look here on page 75. You're having a new admission coming in. Number one, prepare the room. So before the patient gets there, you have to gather a few stuff, extra blanket, extra pillows. If it's a female, you may need to get some pads. You may need to get a bedpan. If it's a male, they might need a urinal. If the person is on wheelchair, you might need to get an extra wheelchair from the facility to place in the room, clean up the room, etc. Right? So basically, when the patient comes in for the first time, they have to feel like, oh my God, these people were expecting me. Okay? When a new patient arrives in the facility, okay, the nursing assistant's job also is to look at the condition that the patient is in when the patient arrives. When the patient arrives in good condition, with a stable mentation, patient arrives, whether on wheelchair, walker, crutches, walking, okay, by ambulance, on a stretcher, okay? We have to note these things, okay? A lot of times, the nursing assistant will participate in doing a skin check or a skin survey. What is that? Basically, the nurse is responsible to do a good skin assessment. So, usually, what the nursing assistant will do is help for two reasons. Number one, to assist and make the patient feel comfortable. Number two, hey, as a witness. Witness to what? In case of any type of accusation. Okay? So we prepare the room. We note the condition of the patient. Number three, you introduce yourself. Turn to page 176. When you introduce yourself, you basically bring your best foot forward. You try to make a very good impression of the facility. Okay? So let's go by the book. Don't rush, never rush the process. So take your time, go slow with the patient. Okay? It's a very difficult time for this resident. A very difficult time. They never wanted to be in a nursing home. So we have to help the patient feel that, okay, you know what? This is not so bad. Second, explain the day-to-day activities of the facility. So you talk to the patient and say, hey, this is how what time breakfast is served. This is where shower is. This is what time we serve lunch around here. Show the patient how the call light work. Um, Show the patient how to maneuver the bed control, all that stuff. Okay, so this is part of helping the person feel welcome in a place that they don't really want to be, but eventually the nursing home may end up being their house, their home, where they live permanently, or it could also be temporary. So you have to do the best that you can to help that person. Handle the patient material stuff with care. All right, so the person brings a bag with a watch, for example, with their shirt and stuff. Handle their belongings with care. Okay, handle their belonging with care. Now, let's talk about another part that we participate in. Okay? Transfer. Transfer, this is when your patient is going from one floor to another. A lot of times, your patient will have a change in their condition. Patient becomes sicker and they cannot stay on that floor. They have to go to another floor or another unit. Okay, so when patient condition changes, patient has to go to another unit, to another place, maybe in the facility where they will get more care. Part of the responsibility to transfer the patient is for you, the nursing assistant, to um, to help the patient get ready, right? Help the patient get ready with all the ADL care, all right? Help the patient um, gather their belonging, and then put a patient on the wheelchair and bring patient to the other unit. Okay, and at that point, if patient has any concern, any questions, we can definitely refer those questions to the nurse. Okay, um, I must say this: when you're getting an admission or when you're doing a transfer, bringing a patient to a new place, or a patient is coming in for the first time, you have to get a report from the nurse. Okay, anytime you're getting a new assignment, you must talk to the nurse and say, I'm getting this new patient. Can you tell me a little bit about this patient? Tell me more. Tell me about the patient. Is it a male or a female? What's the medical condition? What are the medical problems? You need to get report. Nursing assistants, do not start your shift unless you have report. That means you talk to you can get report from the nurse, or you can get report from another CNA, another nursing assistant, that will tell you about this patient. Okay? Very important to keep that, to remember that. Okay? We participate in discharge. Okay? Now, what is discharge? Okay, what is discharge? Discharge, page 178. Discharge is the person going home after get receiving treatment. Yes, a lot of times patient come to the nursing home and they get better and then they end up going home. Okay? We discharge them to their home and patient is very happy. Now, what is our responsibility as nursing assistant when you are discharged, when a patient is being discharged? We help the patient with all the ADL care, with hygiene, grooming. We assist the patient in collecting all their belongings nicely, gently, place them in the patient's bags, and helping the resident, helping the patient um, and helping the patient get into the wheelchair so we can wheel them out to where they're getting picked up. Okay? Now, patient will have questions at discharge. Nursing assistant needs to remember that only the nurse will answer questions. Only the nurse will answer the questions that the patient will have. So you take the questions from the patient and you go on to the nurse. How do we do that? Well, patient will have question about their medication. How can I continue my meds? Where am I going to get my meds? What about treatment? Okay. When is my next doctor's appointment? There's a lot of questions that the patient will have. Okay. So remember, it's not part of the CNA job to answer those questions and provide educational material or educational information to the patient. No. Our job is to take the question and say, I will have the nurse come and talk to you and answer all your questions. All right? Good. Okay. So at admission, at discharge, and transfer, the nursing assistant is responsible to check the patient's vital signs. Page 179. Turn to page 179. What are vital signs? Vital signs are a measurement, right? Measurement of how the organs, the internal organs, they function. Okay? So vital signs will look at vital organs primarily, how the heart works. So with vital signs, we will check pulse. Okay? With vital signs, we will check pulse and blood pressure to see how the heart is working and also how the blood vessels, the veins, the arteries are working. Okay? We are on page 179. Page 179. Okay? Now, we look at with vital signs, pulse, blood pressure, okay, which looks at the cardiovascular system. We also have to look at the respiratory system. So with vital signs, we look at respiration, okay? Now, we look at respiration, and the way we do that, we count the breath every minute, okay? Breath in, breath out, inspiration plus expiration in a whole minute. And then with vital signs, we look at the body temperature. The body temperature is basically a measurement of how all the organs and how fast they are working and how much heat they are creating. So when we check the patient temperature, we're looking at how much heat, how much chaleur, quantité chaleur, how much heat is generated by the movement of all the organs, by the activities of all the organs. Okay? So, page 179, you have a range. Okay? What is a range? A range is the lowest number, and then everything in between is normal, and then the highest number that is normal. The lowest number that is normal, and then the highest number that is normal. Right? And then anything above the highest number is too high. Anything below the lowest number is too low. Okay? All right. So, so you have a temperature range for all the places you can check the temperature. Okay? We can check the temperature by mouth, rectum, axillary, or the armpit. You can check the temperature in the ear or the forehead, which we call the temporal artery. Okay? Now, we use two measurement systems to measure the temperature. Okay? We use a system called Fahrenheit, and we use another system called Celsius. Excuse me. For the most part, we use Fahrenheit. Okay? So, the normal range for oral temperature in Fahrenheit, you can see the whole list between Fahrenheit and Celsius, the normal range for the rectal, armpit, etc. You also see the range for the pulse. Okay? What is the pulse? Well, we will talk about that. It's the number of heartbeat per minute, and the range is between 60 and 100. We measure respiration. The range for respiration is between 12 and 20 breaths per minute. Okay? All right. There. And then you could see the blood pressure, which is a little bit hard to explain, but we will do our best to get through and explain it. But blood pressure is a measurement of the pressure created in the veins, in the blood vessels, the veins and the arteries, with each time the heart pumps, contracts, and each time the heart relaxes. Okay? So, blood pressure measure the pressure of the blood in the artery, the pressure against the blood vessels. As we get more, we get contraction and relaxation. All right? So, blood pressure has two numbers and it reads like a fraction. Blood pressure has two numbers and blood pressure reads like a fraction. In a fraction, you have two numbers, one on top of the other. You have numerator and then you have denominator. With blood pressure, we have systolic blood pressure and then we have diastolic blood pressure. The systolic number, the top number, we call it systolic because it is the pressure when the heart contracts. Each time you have a contraction, there's a pressure that goes against the blood vessels. Now, the heart relaxes, you have what we call diastolic pressure. Diastolic pressure is the pressure against the wall when the heart relaxes to bring blood back in. Okay? Now, there's a lot to say on chapter 7, and I know we're not going to get to cover all of chapter 7 today. But what I want you to do is relax your mind, open your mind, and let's let's just ride together on this journey of understanding what we need on chapter 7. Okay? So page 180. Go to page 180. Page 180. Okay? Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is temperature. Okay? Now, let me see. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay? I'm going to share my screen here. All right? Now, as I share my screen, let me see here. As I share my screen, you guys can see. Okay, hold on. Okay, great. Now, as I share my screen, you guys can see. Remember that website we keep sharing with you, https, right? Semicolon / What's the website again? Videos dot Hartman online.com. Okay. Now, the school code BOS HCI 212, enter. Okay. Now, here you have a video on, well, we don't have a video on checking the temperature. However, you guys are in luck because these days you can get a lot of educational material on YouTube. Okay? I was telling my students earlier, this is a great time to receive your education because there's a lot of information you can get on YouTube. All right, now let me see here. If I go on search and I type vital signs, right? I type vital signs and I type, say, temperature next to it, right? I will see videos, right, of all the many ways to check the temperatures. Okay? All right? So, you can check the temperature by mouth. We call that oral temperature. You can check the temperature in the ear. We call that tympanic temperature. You can check the temperature by mouth. I said that earlier. It's a thermometer that goes under your tongue. You put it under your tongue and you close your mouth. You can check your temperature by running a thermometer across your forehead. We call it temporal temperature. You can check a temperature under your arm, direct skin contact. You put the thermometer inside your clothes, you put it in your armpit, in your armpit, you put your arm down, and then you check the temperature there. We call that axillary temperature. You can also check the temperature rectally. You would put the patient on the left Sims position, all right? Left Sims position. And then you would insert the tip of the thermometer into the patient's rectum, which we will talk about in a second, okay? In a second, we will talk about that. Let me plug my phone that is dying. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Very good. Okay. So, To check the temperature, we use an instrument that we call thermometer. The thermometer, so we have different types of thermometers, just like we have different places to check the temperature. Okay? To check the temperature. So, let's take a look here. You see, we have what we call digital thermometer on page 180. Let's see, open your book. A digital thermometer, electronic thermometer. Well, the digital and the electronic can check oral temperature, can check axillary temperature, can also check rectal temperature. We have tympanic thermometer. That is a thermometer made especially to check the temperature in the ear. We have temporal thermometer. That is a thermometer made to especially check temperature by running it on your forehead. And then there's another thermometer that we use. We call it mercury-free thermometer. This one is manual. It takes a long time to work, so we don't really like to mess with it much. Okay, because in healthcare, who has the time? Everything is done very fast. So we need something digital, something electronic to make it work quickly. We even have a thermometer that can just scan the patients. It's a touchless thermometer. Remember during COVID, they put it right across your forehead. It looks like a little gun. Boop, and then checks your temperature. Now, let's talk a little bit about temperature by mouth, the oral temperature. Page 170, 181. There are times when we can check temperature by mouth, and there are times when we cannot. Okay? By mouth is inside the mouth under your tongue. Okay? Now, there are times when you cannot check the temperature by mouth. If the patient is unconscious, patient is in a coma, do not put a thermometer into their mouth because out of reflex, they could bite the thermometer. Bad deal for the patient, bad deal for you. Facial surgery or oral surgery, don't check oral temperature. Cannot check the oral temperature if your patient is a child less than 5 years old, heavily sedated, confused, disoriented. So if you're working on a dementia unit, if you're working with Alzheimer's patients, you're not supposed to check their temperature by mouth. You're not supposed to check their temperature by mouth. If your patient is coughing, many of you notice that I have a cough, but I'm taking remedy, I'm taking medicine, I'm taking antibiotic. I don't know what it is, but guess what? I'm a fighter. That cough is dead. All right? Anywho, so we will in class, we will practice vital signs, how to check temperatures. Okay? Okay. Now, there's another type of temperature. So we have multiple videos that we will watch and on how to check oral, axillary, tympanic, temporal temperature. So we're not gonna stay too long on that. Okay? And also, I need you guys to remember that right here on YouTube, if you put my name, Jean-Edouard Brutus, NAT, chapter 7, okay, chapter 7, all right, you will see that I have the class in English and also in Haitian Creole. And I plan on redoing it to make it, it could be longer, but it's a lot of information. So after you see the Zoom, or after we do this Zoom tonight, what I want you to do is go in front of the of YouTube again with your book, and then open the chapter 7, click on YouTube and type my name, NAT chapter 7, English or Creole. Okay? So that way you can absorb more. The more you hear a message, the more of it you capture. Okay? So, on page 183, let's talk about a different type of temperature, which is rectal temperature. On rectal temperature is putting the thermometer in the patient's anus, okay, about I would say quarter to a half an inch deep, okay, to check the temperature in the rectum, okay. Of course, privacy is important. Number two, you have to put the patient in the proper position. Now, page 183, the proper position to place the patient in is called the Sims position. The Sims position. We we always put the patient in the left Sims position. Left side, patient is laying on the left side with the right leg bent to 90 degrees to expose the anus, So that way you can insert the probe of the thermometer. Only expose the area that you are working with. So that means the patient remains completely covered. You only expose the anus. Okay? Make sense? Good. All right. Now, there are times, so let me talk a little bit about the thermometer. The thermometer that you use for the rectum is similar to the thermometer that you use by mouth. The difference is, excuse me, the thermometer that you use by mouth is green or blue. The thermometer that you use for the rectum is red. So remember, red is for rectum, green, blue is for oral or axillary. Okay? So you can use green or blue for temperature by mouth or the armpit. But if it's the thermometer with that's red, you use that for the last month. We told the class we were gonna do some practice on thermometer, and a student brought a thermometer, a brand new thermometer in the class. It was a digital, brand new thermometer, and she was using it to check her classmate temperature, the one sitting next to her. Well, she checked her temperature by mouth, but when I looked at the thermometer, it's the red one. I said, thank God you did not use this thermometer for its right purpose before you put it in her mouth. Okay? So, red is for rectum, blue or green is for mouth or axillary. There are times when you cannot check the temperature in the rectum. If your patient if your patient has hemorrhoid, you cannot check rectal temperature. If your patient has diarrhea, don't go there. I promise you, you don't want to go there. If your patient has diarrhea or any type of rectal surgery. If you have a patient with a colostomy, that means we cannot use the anus for temperature. You can use any other way. Axillary, oral, axillary, oral. Hey guys, say hello to my daughter Abigail. All right, sweetheart. So axillary, oral, you can check it any different places. Close the door. All right. We check the temperature in the ear. Tympanic. You can pull the ear back and then you insert the probe in the ear. I have a tympanic thermometer in the office. We will work on that. The most accurate temperature way to check the temperature, we call it the rectal temperature. The rectal temperature is the most accurate. C'est lui qui peut direct, qui peut bon. The rectal temperature is the most accurate. But like I said, if your patient is, has anything going on with the rectum, you don't want, with the anus or rectum, you don't want to check the temperature there. If your patient is combative, is confused, is agitated, you do not want to go there. It will not turn out good for you. Okay? Okay. Now, axillary is the least accurate temperature. That's the temperature that we don't rely on very much because it can be affected by outside temperature and stuff like that. So we usually like to check temperature by mouth, in the ear, oral temperature, tympanic temperature, rectal temperature, or temporal temperature. Okay? Okay, now, enough about temperature. Okay? Because we're running out of time. Let's talk about something else now, pulse. What is pulse? Page 186. Page 186. Pulse is the number of heartbeat per minute. Pulse is the number of heartbeat per minute. Okay? How many times did your heart beat in 1 minute? That is pulse. Now, every time your heart beat, okay, it pushes blood through the veins and the arteries. Okay? Especially the arteries. Okay? Your heart beat, okay? And then you can feel the movement, a wave. All right? So we have multiple places where we can check the pulse. We can check the pulse, since you can see my neck. If you take 2 fingers, you put it here, okay? You put it over an artery. So you can check the pulse on an artery, over an artery, right? Because on the artery, this is where you will feel the beating. So we call that the carotid artery. We call that the carotid artery. Okay? You can check the pulse on your wrist. Okay? Right here. Right? Put it so you guys can see. You follow the thumb and then you put 2 fingers right here. Right? And you can feel the beat, right? You can feel the beat, right? If you try it, you will feel the beat. Make sure you can count the beat, right? Count the beat so that way you can count it for 1 minute, and that will give you the pulse per minute, how many beats per minute. So nursing assistants mostly check radial pulse. We mostly check what kind of pulse? Radial pulse in the wrist. But there's other places to check the pulse. the brachial artery in the arm right here. So it's on the opposite side of your thumb, on the inner side of your arm, right over here. You put two fingers there, you can feel the beat. Okay? Now, the normal range for the pulse is 60 beat to 100 beat per minute. Okay? Less than 60, we have to tell the nurse. More than 100 beat in 1 minute, we have to tell the nurse. Okay? So you have to spend a little bit of time with this chapter to get to know the normal beat, the normal range, okay, for the pulse. Just like with the temperature. The normal range for temperature is between 97.6 and 99.6. More than 99.6, we tell the nurse. Less than 97.6, who do we tell? We tell the nurse. Okay? Very good. We tell the nurse. All right? All right. Next is the pulse, the respiration. Okay? The respiration is the number of breath. How many times we breathe in 1 minute. How can we count the breath? One breath equals one inhalation, which is a breath in, plus one exhalation, which is a breath out. So when you breathe in, you inhale, and then your chest goes inflate. And then you breathe out. Your chest deflate. Inflate, deflate. Breath in, breath out. Breath in, breath out. So, when we count respiration, breath in, breath out equals one breath. So, you look at the chest going up and going down equals one breath. Okay? Now, if you go back to the Hartman video here, okay? If you go back to the Hartman video here, let me put those boxes away. You see video number 20, count and record radial pulse. State exam most likely will test you on the radial pulse. Okay? State exam most likely will test you on radial pulse. Now, if so, you're gonna spend time watching that video. Okay? Now, video number 21. Video number 21. Count and record respiration. Okay? So, on state exam, when they ask you to check pulse, to check patient's vital sign, they want you to check the pulse and the respiration. So next week, we will start working on vital signs. Checking pulse and respiration. Okay? Checking pulse and checking respiration. And when you check pulse, you check it for 60 seconds, which is your 1 minute. And when you check respiration, you check it for 1 minute. Okay? You check it for 1 minute. All right? So you put two fingers on the radial pulse. Hey, good morning, Mrs. Joe. My name is Jean. I'm your CNA today. I'm going to check your vital signs. I'm going to start first by checking your pulse. So you do a little bit of talk with the patient, and then you stand up. Patient remains sitting down or laying down. You put two fingers on the pulse, you hold it, and then you're looking at a clock. Okay? Your clock has to have three needles, one that counts the hour, one that counts the minute, and one that counts the seconds, right? And you're going to use the one that count the seconds to count your minute. If you start on 12, you finish on 12, one rotation. If you start on 9, you finish on 9 with just one rotation. Okay? So, so for 1 minute, you count the pulse. When you finish counting the pulse, you begin to count. You keep your fingers on the pulse, but now you will direct your attention to the chest. You will direct your attention to the chest, and you will be looking for inflation and deflation of the chest, which will tell you what breathing is going on. Okay, which will give you an idea of how to count the breath, how many breaths. So if you're looking at my chest here, and then you see something like this. That's 2, right? Okay. So you direct your attention to look at the chest so you can count the respiration. Okay? And 1 breath in, 1 breath out equals 1 breath. You're looking for 12 to 20 breaths in 1 minute. Okay? All right. So you count the respiration and then you go straight to counting the breath. All right? All right. So finally for tonight, let's talk about blood pressure. Okay? Now, just so you know, guys, I do have another meeting coming up this weekend for a Haitian Creole version of chapter 7. Okay? So that way there's more detail. But guess what? I will also go into chapter 7 in the class to make sure everybody fully understand before we do the test. Okay? Or before you complete the program. All right? Let's talk about blood pressure again. Okay? Because I think we've burned our first hour, and we can't go very fast with this. And then we have special guests, a couple of special guests that are waiting to talk to you guys about something very interesting. They are more interesting than me, trust me. More interesting and better looking too, but that's another story altogether. Okay. All right. So, blood pressure. Blood pressure is an important indicator of your health. Blood pressure measures how your heart is working. If your heart is working well, blood pressure will tell you if it is working well. And if your heart is not working too well, if circulation, if your veins are not working very well, your arteries are not working very well, the blood pressure will tell you, will give us an idea. Checking blood pressure, guys, is the most difficult skill you can learn as a nursing assistant. Even for me, when I was in nursing school, it was not easy. It was very, very difficult. So, excuse me, I want to encourage every one of you to go on Amazon. Let me take you there. Okay? You can go on Amazon and you should buy a manual blood pressure machine. Not the electronic one. You will not learn from it. So we can go here and you click and you type blood pressure cuff. Okay? You don't want to buy the electronic because you need the practice. You need the skill. Okay? You can get it for cheap at $15.95. I don't work for Amazon. I'm not trying to sell product for them, but I'm trying to help you get the skill. You want to get the blood pressure machine, the blood pressure set that comes with the machine, that comes with this here. We call this the sphygmomanometer. Sphygmomanometer. So if you come here and you put down blood pressure set, you will get two things. You will get the blood pressure cuff, which we call the sphygmomanometer, and you will also get the stethoscope. Or you can get it both here for $24 or $14.99. It's up to you. Okay? So it's important to get that. And then here's what you can do. You come back to YouTube, right? You can go here before we practice this, right? You can go here on YouTube and type checking what? Blood pressure manually. And then you will get a wealth of information. Okay? So I'm not gonna play the video for you right now because I want you to take some responsibility in playing that video and begin to educate yourself. Or you can go onto our Hartman video and then let's see on the video library that we have from Hartman, and then what's the video number? Video number 22. Measure and record blood pressure. Blood pressure, to finish, is a measurement of the pressure against the arteries, the contraction pressure and the relaxation pressure. What's the contraction pressure? Your heart works like this. So every time your heart contracts, it pushes blood out. When the heart relaxes, it lets blood back in. So when the heart contracts, it creates what we call systolic pressure. It pushes blood out of the veins and arteries really hard. And then the heart relaxes so it can be filled up again, right? A vein, a major vein, put blood back in the heart, and it takes some pressure to push that back in there. Okay? And that pressure we call diastolic. So there's systolic pressure and diastolic pressure. The normal systolic pressure is between 100 and 120. Right? We measure it in millimeter mercury. The normal pressure for diastolic is between 60 and 90 millimeter mercury. You need a sphygmomanometer and you need the stethoscope. All right? So guys, I am going to switch to the better part of the meeting. Okay, the best part of this Zoom is about to start, because right now, let me stop my sharing here. And guys, remember, we have another Zoom coming up this Sunday, okay, at 8 o'clock. And then we also have class next week. Your responsibility for the rest of the week is to review the past chapters. Some of you, a lot of you did not pass my test, but I will give you another chance, especially those of you on the meeting tonight. I will give you another chance, and my test is going to be a lot, well, I'm not going to say easier, but I will surprise you and make you happy. Trust me, I will. Now, we are going to, let's see here, unmute. Let's see, allow participant to unmute themselves, because we want to introduce our special guest, Mr. Weber Charles. Mr. Weber Charles, who will introduce the main speaker of the next meeting. But before I take Mr. Charles, let's see here. Anybody wants to ask any questions? I know it's all in English. I know your English is not very strong, and I'm going slow, so you guys really get this, because you know all the reasons why speaking English in America is important, right? The job,
Teacher,
English. Yes,
teacher,
darling.
no class on Friday or Saturday, only on Sunday.
We have class on Sunday. Now, do you want me to do a class on Saturday?
Yes.
Yes. Well, guess what? Because you are here tonight, let me make that announcement to everyone. We're gonna do a review on. We're gonna do a class on Zoom on Saturday at 9.
Nice.
You like that?
Okay. Okay, that's good.
All right. Okay, great. Listen, I know you're really trying to get this, so I'm gonna make it easier for you guys. So Saturday we're gonna be here at 9, okay, and Sunday we're gonna be here at 8. Sounds good? Good.
1 hour on Saturday.
Yes, 1 hour on Saturday.
Okay, not
Okay.
bad.
So on Saturday, we can do it in Creole, and then on Sunday, we can resume everything in both English and Creole. Okay?
Okay, no problem. Thank
All
you.
right. I have a lot of people happy with that decision. Okay. So, Mr. Weber Charles, I hope you're still with us. I know you're going to introduce a wonderful guest that we have tonight. Mr. Charles, take it away. Come on, where are you?
Good evening, everyone.
Awesome.
So I am so blessed to be with you today, and I particularly thank Mr. Brutus for his spirit of generosity. Without that generosity, I shouldn't be here tonight. So tonight, I'm not going to be the driver behind the wheel, because there is someone with me who knows better, because she grew up here and she speaks better English. So I want you to understand the details of the presentation. That's why I thank to invite her for this special occasion. So, Mr. Brutus, I don't introduce you and to Mr. Phyllis Palmer, because that's so familiar with her apparently. But I know some of you are going to enjoy this meeting tonight, because she is a person who really mastered his craft. So thank you very much. So Mrs. Davis, we have the
Thank you so much. So very grateful to be here. I do appreciate the invitation. I am so very grateful to God and this opportunity. This company, this business has truly made a difference in me, in my family's life. My husband and I, we do our business together, but we also have a son that runs our Buffalo, New York. And so we have a family business, and we're grateful for this opportunity. So I always tell people a little bit about me, because a lot of times people think, oh, you knew all about how to do this, you knew everything, because everybody likes to learn about money. Everyone wants to talk about money. Everybody wants to figure out how to make their money grow. And so that's what we talk about. That's what we talk about to people. That's how we educate people. I've been in this country my whole life, and I got a lot of education, but they never talk about how to grow your money in those classes. They don't teach you how to double your money. I got 2 master degrees in this country, and I never took one class to teach me about financial literacy, how compound interest works, how those things work, how my money can work for me. And so I'm very, very, somebody don't understand me. I'm talking as slow